Well, just so you guys know,
Okay.
ACBA's meeting at 3:00 too.
Could have probably.
Okay.
Joel's gonna come in and basically do BPW in about a minute and then transition right into doing ACBA.
Because he's on AZBA too.
He's the chair of ACBA. He's the chair of BPW too.
Whenever you're ready.
At this time, I'll call the October 15th Commissioner meeting to order. Today, we're going to have the prayer by Commissioner Sarkella and the pledge by Commissioner Moody.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day, for the opportunity to gather in a free country and to serve our friends and neighbors in the capacity of board members and other things in our community. We're grateful for all that work for the county, for everybody that supports us and what we do. And we ask, Lord, that you would be with us today and help us to make wise decisions on behalf of all those folks. In your most precious son's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Leslie, roll call, please.
District 1 Chairman John Black.
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Gary Heberling.
Here.
District 4 Commissioner Bill Sarkella.
Present.
District 5 Commissioner Christine Lee.
Present.
District 6 Commissioner Evans Ehart.
Here.
District 7 Commissioner John Mooney.
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
If there are no corrections or deletions to today's agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, supported by Commissioner Lee, to adopt the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. At this time, I would like to adopt our meeting minutes from October 1st. If there's any corrections to those, put that in your motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of October 1st. Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ehart to adopt the meeting minutes as presented from October 1st. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. You received your correspondence from Jody through email the other day. We're going to move into commissioner reports, and we're going to start with Commissioner Moody.
I went to Speaker Township Planning Commission meeting on the 8th. They opened the meeting, they did the pledge, they did public comment, and they closed the meeting. So it was a nice quick meeting. And then I went to the village of Melvin last night and sat there for 40 minutes waiting for a quorum and left.
Oh.
So 45 minutes, actually. I don't know if they ever ended up having their meeting, but
So you spent some time at meetings, but you didn't get anything to report.
nothing to report. We didn't do anything.
Thank you, John.
My township meetings and stuff are next week.
Okay. I have had a conversation with the Delaware Township Board and Marion Township Board about land use issues moving forward. As we all know, this Public Act 233 and its requirements become effective at the end of November this year, which isn't far away. So townships don't have a lot of time to get into compliance with that. And that's been a big topic of conversation in the district. Not everybody's going the same direction. Marion is going with the tactic. As a matter of fact, Gary, we have Marion Township's ordinance on the planning commission meeting tonight's agenda. They are taking the tactic of adopting PA 233 standards, but saying you can only develop it in a certain part of the community that they consider their overlay district. Delaware Township is going the other approach, and they have chosen to leave their ordinance the way it was. And they are going to attempt to use the Creo path, or I shouldn't say the Creo path, the workable ordinance path. So it's pretty clear at this point, there's multiple tactics being utilized within the county. And when these issues start to, I guess, get squeezed through the court system, we're going to see what the best tactic was. So
Didn't Menden go that route too? They said they could only so many square miles or certain areas.
So like the overlay district concept's been around a long time. Delaware utilized it for the first turbines they had. Marion Township utilized it for the first turbines that they have. Minden likely utilized it as well, although I don't know that for sure. But the easiest way to think about it is when we zone communities, you literally create a section of the community for industrial land use, right? And then that's where industrial stuff goes. And residential, commercial, all the same. And so this is utilizing that same tried and true tactic of zoning districts. But the problem is it is nowhere in Public Act 233 does it talk about that. So it is definitely going to be challenged at one point or another. And like I said earlier, it's going to be squeezed through the court system to find out what authority they have. And I'll tail into that. We had our max 7th district meeting yesterday. We had 3 commissioners from Salem County attend that, Commissioner Sarkella, Commissioner Heberlein, and myself. And there was 2 commissioners from Tuscola County. And we've had good participation from Huron in the past, but there were some issues with, as we talked earlier before the meeting, about getting the invitation out. But in that meeting, we had max staff. Dina was in there, Madeline Fada was in there, and she discussed about this particular issue. And if you guys read Mac's update last week, that they're going to drill down on the latest draft of what the Michigan Public Service Commission has put out, and they're going to try to analyze that and give us some kind of a layman's terms on what to expect. But one thing that got said by the MAC staff yesterday that I thought was interesting, that everybody should be paying attention to some degree, is the possibility of a cleanup bill for Public Act 233. And as you guys were in the meeting, her words exactly were, is it was a poorly written bill to begin with. So there's this concept of a cleanup bill. And we all know that this taste that the municipalities have for losing their right of zoning these particular issues and how contentious that was. It'll be interesting to see if there's a change in the legislature this year. If there's some changeover in some of these people, we could actually see a cleanup bill of Public Act 233 that's probably more advantageous to counties and townships. But if there isn't changeover in the legislature, we could see a cleanup bill that closes any loopholes that were left. That's what I foresee happening. So it's just, that's good feedback for you guys to all know, because I'm sure townships are going to be asking questions about how to deal with this. And so we'll stay on top of it, and I will be looking to see when Matt comes out with that information, their analysis of what the latest Michigan Public Service Commission rules are. Because they can come up with whatever rules they want, but those rules have to be backed by Public Act 233. If they're not, then they can be challenged. So, and beyond that, MAC 7th district meeting, a few other little tidbits about that. We had a good discussion. Sanilac will be hosting in January that meeting, and Commissioner Heberlein has already reached out to our state rep, Greg Alexander, in an attempt to see if we can have Greg involved.
He's coming.
He is going to come.
Yep,
Okay, good.
definitely.
Thank you for.
Most definitely said I'll be there.
Good.
Yeah.
So we'll have our state rep, because as Gary and Bill know from the discussion, there was some good discussion, and the Tuscola commissioners thought that it was such good discussion, our legislators really need to hear what we're talking about here. So we're going to try to orchestrate that. So if anybody else wants to jump in, it's not required, but if you want to see an interesting discussion when we host in January, hop on Zoom. They start at 9 and typically run about an hour. Sometimes they can run a little longer.
No date set yet.
It'll be virtual. Well, no, I thought you said date. I don't.
22nd January.
22nd, yeah.
Yeah. So, and we'll update everybody about it again at a board meeting prior to that.
What's the possibility of having it in person?
So some of the Tuscola commissioners were pitching the idea in the meeting yesterday about getting full boards involved. So like literally we're sitting here on the screen, Tuscola's in their boardroom, Huron's in their boardroom. I didn't say anything in the meeting. I think we all know that that's almost impossible.
Yeah.
How would we ever orchestrate that? So I think that idea is dead in the water. And I think trying to get everybody together in person would also be a big challenge, because nobody wants to drive. And Tom Bardwell, who is a commissioner in Tuscola, and he's probably the longest member of the MAC 7th of anybody who's on there. He has the most historical context. Matter of fact, when I started, there was a checkbook for the MAC 7th that Tom was in possession of, and he wanted to get rid of it. And the reason why there was a checkbook is commissioners all used to pitch in, and then that money was used to pay for the meal when everybody all met together. I'm sure 20 years ago, they all met at the Franklin Inn and they had lunch and they did their meeting that way. That's just, I like the idea of being able to do that, but I don't know that we would get that great a participation out of everybody to meet like that. Unless there was some massive issue that our legislator was actually going to try to work on with us, which I know we would like Greg to work on Public Act 233, but what's he really going to do? I mean, it's already passed. But I think if there was ever another major issue, and this is why it's good to be in those meetings, because the Tom Bardwells of the world who have been doing this for 25 years can tell you that the state actually looked at regionalizing counties at one point. So you can imagine how not happy we would be with a decision like that. So I could see that being the type of thing where we would want to get all the boards in the same room, develop a strategic plan to try to deal with an issue like that. So for now, they'll be virtual. We've never been able to get participation out of St. Clair. We have had some participation from Lapeer, but Huron, Tuscola, and Sanilac, which are probably the three most like each other counties, those are the ones we typically get the best participation. So, does anybody have any other questions about what happened yesterday in the MAC 7th? Okay, I will be done with that. Give it to you, Christine.
I was at Brown City Council meeting and they have a moratorium on the noise ordinance for 3 months because in the ordinance it says businesses, the noise level has to be at 10 o'clock and residential is at 11 o'clock. So they want to clean that ordinance up. And then also a lot of people are wanting chickens, so they're going to look into that. Maple Valley got their playground equipment in and their new pavilion up, and it looks very nice. Flynn Township was having people camping, trouble with people camping in their nature center, and all the townships are doing the final touches on spending their ARPA money, trying to find things so they don't have to send that back. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Bill?
Tenant Applegate, they had to move their safety deposit box because the local bank closed and they actually had to have a resolution to be able to do that. They signed their sheriff's agreement for their blight enforcement. Also looking forward to getting that red house torn down in town that's moving through the process of right now, I think, what an environmental review on that. That was one of the things through our funding out of the what was the funding from?
Land bank?
Yeah, land bank. So great things for them there. Washington approved all their election officials, columbarium fees. That was an interesting discussion because they built the columbarium for their cemetery, and then they were trying to find a way to make it economical for local folks to be able to afford to have that done. And they're also working on their ARPA dollars. And then Matt Armstrong was there, as well as Bridgehampton, our drug task force sergeant. He's been going around making presentations, letting everybody know what's going on with the drug task force. So that was a nice thing, him being around representing the county as well. And then also there's drive-in concerns with the drive-in up there and what the events are, because they've been having these music festivals that are going way beyond time. So they're looking at a potential noise ordinance there to help enforce that moving in the future. Bridgehampton, like I said, drug task force is there, ARPA funding for them, their gravelling's all done. And then there were some election questions that Leslie's been looking into for us in regards to some things there with election integrity. And then Sand Lake Township went through their water agreement. They're doing changes because the village is going to be coming online through Washington or through Sand Lake Township's water as well. So that's another big process. And they're doing a really great job staying on top of that. CFA, the fire authority, is up and running. So they've got their agreements all signed with that and have appointed members for the board. And then they're also looking at their short-term rentals in the township as well. Because there's, if you're familiar with Mikasa or Mikasa, you'll see a lot of signs over there along Lake Shore. So that's the Fagans have been buying up a lot of homes and refurbishing things and then using them for rentals. So they're staying in line with that as well. That's all I have.
That's great news that they got CFA straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, good thing for the community.
yeah, great report. Thank you, Bill. Gary?
Attended Watertown Township meeting, Moortown Township meeting, and you give the report on our MAC 7 meeting. End of my report.
Good. Thank you, Gary. Roger?
I intended to sit in on that meeting yesterday, but I got on the computer and started dealing with parks and it just kind of snowballed. So next time. I attended the Argyle Township meeting. They had a presentation from their insurance company rep. They're looking at a 12% increase in township insurance costs this year, which is a pretty good hit. They approved a land split and payment of the bills. My wife and I went up and attended the Lamont Township Fire Department hog roast on the 4th. If you want an excellent, it's a home cooked meal. There's no Gordon's coleslaw or nothing there. It's all homemade stuff, and it was excellent, and it's for a good cause. So That's the first Friday every year in October. Marlette Township, I was there last week. They had discussion on what they call the Airbnb property. It's an old truck repair facility that they had a renter in there for quite some time. That didn't work out so good. Now they're discussing, well, they decided to hire a guy to go in and do some repairs and get the building winterized and kind of cleaned up. And they're gonna rent out some RV storage for now. They also approved their renewing the township appraiser's contract for 5 years. City of Marlette, last Monday, they approved a rezoning of a lot on South Main Street, which lines up with their master plan. So they were pleased to get that done. And their walking trail and their new pavilions and some playground equipment at the park is, I think it's done now. It's nearly done a week ago, so looking good. And that's it for that report.
Okay, thank you, Roger.
Yep.
I appreciate everyone's commissioner reports. Good discussion today. Nathan, your administrator report, please.
I wanted to note, I know I heard Commissioner Ballard speak on Ms. Krieger in regards to the health department building and the siding and the windows and that project. So when they the siding, as you can see, is a majority of that's done. The windows, they had an issue where they thought the windows were all the same size. So they started measuring some, caught them all, they were all the same size along, the turn of the building. And wrongly assumed that they were gonna all, I guess, be the same size as they looked at them and appeared that way. And so they weren't, so they had to reorder some windows to finish the project. And then they were coming from the south and then the hurricane hit. So there's been a couple little hiccups in that. But the builder assured me that the right windows are ordered and will be here as soon as possible and they'll get back going on that. The last, I guess it would have been, trying to think if it was, I think it was 2 weeks ago Friday, Commissioner Lee. Yeah, we were at the Thumb Economic meeting up in Bad Axe. I think they did a good job of bringing in a lot of different offices through the state to talk about grant funding that's out there and different programs they have and how they can help communities. And I think my biggest takeaway from it was getting all the, they had a lot of community leaders from Sand Lake, Huron and Tuscola together. And some county officials. And I think, it was telling that I think collaboration is the key for us out here, and I think of the Max 7th, as you guys were talking about, we're between Huron and Sand Lake and Tuscola, we're alike in a lot of ways, but we're kind of off the beaten path and we're not individually big counties population wise, but we are land mass wise in some ways. So scarce resources for us. Staffing is sometimes light. So we give, any way we can to band together and support one another is key when we try to leverage dollars and grants state. And then I know there was some talk about PA 233, the ramifications. That is something, so the board knows as I bring forward the budget that Commissioner Black and I have talked about, and we're kind of built some things in the budget to protect us moving forward on that if, litigation or things were to take place. So we're preparing for situations like that because there's a bit of an unknown with that. So, and that's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Nathan? Okay, appreciate your report, Nathan.
Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to call for public comments for agenda items. Are there any public comments pertaining to the agenda today? Seeing none. We have a presentation from Shannon, our Veterans Affairs Annual Report. Shannon, welcome.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks. So I think Jody included my annual report with your agendas, so I'm hoping you had a chance to glance through it so we don't have to go page by page.
Yep.
I like to just a couple.
We like the highlights.
Yes, I like that too. Makes it a lot easier. So I don't know if you guys pay attention, but I always like to put the amount of money we bring in. The veterans of Sand Lake County bring in each year. So for fiscal year 23, paid to Sand Lake County veterans for compensation and pension, readjustment of both rehab benefits and insurance and indemnities was $16,980,000. And that went up again from the previous year by $429,000. We've gone backwards a couple years, I think maybe 2 since I've been in my office. So going forward every year and increasing is big. Especially when our population went down. We went down again this year. I think it's been the past several years. So veterans and their dependents went down 144 people from the last fiscal year in San Luis County.
I don't have a copy of that.
Oh, I got extras.
It's in there.
That's right.
It's right in your packet.
It's in your packet.
Which,
Right underneath your agenda.
oh, under this?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have no wrong, that's the wrong one.
Keep going.
That's finance.
That's finance. The one right in front of you right there, yeah.
No.
There you go, there you go.
It's a long day. Up already.
Yeah.
Yes, I see it now.
Okay. How are you gonna officiate a track meet there?
Yeah. them
I just shoot the gun.
It's okay, now we know the truth.
Are you gonna get Brown City?
Lapeer,
Oh, okay.
17 schools and I got a partner today, so I'm gonna give him all the work.
Good shots.
All right, so population went down. Next thing I wanted to let you know, we provided 545 veterans rides to their medical appointments in 2023. We did get our third vehicle purchase. I'm gonna keep 3 on the road right now. I am going to look at getting rid of our white Traverse in the future. But we are sometimes, well, most days, having 3 of them on the road and they're needed. Sometimes 2 of them are running 2 different appointments for 2 different veterans going different places too. So our numbers this year will be going way up for rides provided.
Okay.
And we opened it up a few years ago to, well, it was just VA medical centers. Then we opened it up to community care appointments when the VA approves a veteran to see outside care. And now we just, if they have a medical appointment anywhere, we give them a ride. Yeah. Last thing is we have an emergency assistance funds, the Stan Lake County Relief Fund. And last year, the Veterans Affairs Committee approved $80,616 in emergency relief for Stan Lake County veterans. And that can go for food, mortgage payments if they lost their job. We've done home repairs, vehicle insurance, I mean, whatever. If they feel it's an emergent situation and it's going to help them get back on their feet and they will be able to maintain after that point. That's kind of their key thing when determining if they want to help or not.
Good.
So that's all I have.
Okay.
Any questions
Good.
for me?
Short and sweet and beneficial.
What do you attribute the increase of funding into the county to? Is there anything in particular that reflects on, I mean, because when you look at the, going back to like 03 to now, you're talking another $13 million.
Just a good director in place.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
That Katie down there, have you ever met her?
Yeah.
I don't know, increasing claims, I think getting the word out there to veterans that didn't know about the benefits before and buddies talking and, you know,
So
I still have
so
Vietnam
it
guys that are coming
yeah.
in.
is
that-
director related.
Yeah,
Are there more of the younger veterans coming in?
yes, yeah,
It
but I,
didn't used to be that way, did it?
nah, not hugely. But I think that the military itself, when they're getting out, the Department of Defense is providing them more information to, you know,
To make them
get out there and
Mhm.
visit your local office, see what benefits you got.
Yeah, good.
So, yeah,
Well, we certainly appreciate all your efforts providing these services to people that certainly deserve them.
yeah.
So,
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
And I know some people that use the vans to go to their doctor's appointments, because otherwise they might be driving to Saginaw.
Well, some can't drive or, you know,
Yeah.
they can't drive in the city and that's
Yeah.
we're their only mode of transportation. So, yeah.
So it's greatly appreciated.
Hugely needed.
well, I know we're not finished with it yet, but as the building does look a little nicer that you show up to every day for.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it looks way nicer.
Good deal.
Yeah, beautiful on the outside.
You guys will probably be happy when the construction's over with over there.
It was loud for a couple of days, but it didn't affect us, you know, hugely, so it wasn't too bad.
Good deal. Thanks, Shannon. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
Okay, that will conclude presentations today. I see no need for appointments to standing committees, county chair appointments. But we do have one general resolution, and that is a resolution for the Santa County Apportionment Report. That is,
Page 3.
Page 3, yeah.
oh, that's much shorter than I anticipated it to be. So any commissioner that would like to read that resolution?
I'll do it.
Evans?
Evans, you have this.
Do I have that? This one right here?
Hi, guys.
No, it's for you. If you're reading.
Can I read these numbers with?
It's the replacement.
Just as amended.
Oh, okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Whereas pursuant to the Michigan Constitution of 1963, Section 31, Article 9, and the Michigan compiled laws, MCL 211.34, 211.34D, and or 211.24E, the various financial officers for the township, cities, villages, school districts, and authorities have certified that the tax rate comply, and whereas the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby certifies the millages have been reduced if necessary, and that the truth in taxation hearings have been held if necessary. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the spread of the following attached tax requests. Collection and distribution shall be in accordance with the provisions of the General Property Tax Act 1893 PA 206. Local unit treasurers shall distribute the state education tax collections to the county treasurer pursuant to MCL 211.42. Be it further resolved that the county equalization director is authorized to amend as necessary.
Support.
I have a resolution offered by Commissioner Ehart, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, Leslie, please.
Commissioner Ehart,
Yes.
Commissioner Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Block,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Sarcella,
Yes.
Commissioner Heberling.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Thank you for reading that, Evans. That's gonna conclude general resolutions. We're gonna drop right into committee reports, and we're gonna start with Commissioner Ballard.
I attended the CMH Program Committee last Tuesday. We approved the appointment of Tim Sexton to the Personal Growth Center Board. Approved numerous reports, and the number of clients served is at 500 plus and continues to rise. Now, when I give these reports, the things that we approve at committee, they then go on to the full board for approval, is how that works, so. Parks, our project at Evergreen is moving along nicely. The playground equipment itself, I believe, was complete. It looked like they were finishing up Friday when I was up there. They have a lot more to do, a lot of concrete work, but hopefully with this spell of nice weather this week, they'll get a lot done.
You mean the spell of nice weather we're gonna have for the next 2 months, right?
I hope.
Yeah,
I hope. So that project's really coming along good. It took a while to get it going, but Lexington Park, different story there on the house. It's kind of slowed back down again. I need to go have a come to Jesus meeting, I think, so, but it is coming along. It's all closed in. The concrete guys are supposed to be out there. They were supposed to be out there last week. They haven't made it yet. I think probably weather took a turn last week. But, and the parks have continued to be busy. Evergreen last week, I know they were, I think they had 20 sites left as of Friday. So they're doing real good for this time of year. That's it.
Good. Thank you, Roger. Gary?
Well, this morning we had our B&G meeting with City Sandusky, with the city manager and one of the councilmen. And we're moving forward with the land that they've provided us for a new animal control building coming up that we've proposed. And I don't know, John, if you want to go into more depth in that, or Nate. And Bill Sarcella, myself, John, and Nate were in that meeting. The meeting went well, and looks like we're moving forward and making good progress. And then this afternoon, I think you already mentioned, John, we have a county planning meeting.
Yep.
3:00. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Bill?
Gary mentioned building grounds today. I thought that went well in regards to moving forward with the city of Sandusky. Hopefully we'll be able to get our bids out and get some response on that. Sat in a MAC Ag and Tourism meeting this week. They had a presentation from DNR Fisheries. Always a interesting concept coming out of them in regards to the planning that they're doing. Certainly affects our tourism in the county. Fisheries generates 200,000 jobs related to recreational fishing. It's a $5 billion economic impact. And they had $12 million in license sales last year, and they actually stocked over 9 million fish. So quite a bit of production out of that department. Our health department stepped up and helped me out. I had an incident with a new construction site, residential concerns about some piping that was going on there. And Brian and I had a conversation on a Saturday, and then they actually had an inspector out there on Monday morning to clarify the circumstance. Turned out it was just a pipe for footings that they had put in to keep the water from sitting down where the footings were until they dried and were cured. And then MAC District 7 We mentioned, we had that, and just generally with them, a couple things too, we didn't talk about was the septic code. Coming out of the state, they got the mandatory septic inspection. Originally, the agreement was supposed to be for 5 years. They're trying to make it 10, trying to make it go away realistically, because of course, when the state comes out with a mandate, there's not any funding going along with that as well that we talked about the other day. And then another thing that they're monitoring too, at MAC is, mandatory sick time for non-union employees. So there's another thing that the state's trying to put through that, we need to keep our eyes on as well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bill. Christine?
I had the Child Abuse Prevention Council this morning and baby pantry updates. They served 272 unduplicate families for the year so far. 659 were children, 557 were adults. It covered all zip codes. They had their community baby shower, and they had 30 pregnant and new moms attend with 24 vendors for that. Also this Thursday, had the speaker Melody Barton. She's coming in. It's have you or someone you know have been affected by abuse, join us to learn about Child Advocate Center process through the lens of a survivor. She'll be Thursday if anybody wants information at the Lexington Village Theater from 6 to 8. They would like you to pre-register. So if you want this information, you can have this flyer. And then I had the health department meeting this morning, and some work has started on the Maple Valley building. And they had some bids for roofing, but they decided to hold off on that because they were looking into other ways. Do they need to really replace the whole roof? Do they, gonna be, so they're still checking on stuff, and that's all I have to report.
Sure. Thank you, Christine. I myself have a planning commission meeting tonight, and there's also an airport ZBA meeting later today. There is no request before the airport ZBA. It's just a generic meeting to set the meeting schedule for next year. So that's all I have. Evans?
Only committee I have is HTC this month, and that is tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, Evans. John?
I had emergency management last week. They have a new fire academy. I believe it started yesterday. I think they have 18 in that. And the new pagers that we approved a couple months ago are distributed to the fire departments now. Are out and working now, so.
Good.
I have 911 and community corrections next week.
Have you guys had any conversations at the emergency management level about the potential of battery storage facilities as this push for renewable energy is coming on? Is that something that maybe we should be instigated with them, is to at least start to have that discussion? There's no plans of those facilities here currently that I'm aware of, but I think we all know that that's coming at some point. And that'd be the group that we want to hear from about, what kind of plans they're going to have put together. We want to make sure we're ready to manage a situation if one was to come to be. Do they get quite good participation? Because it's the fire chiefs mostly that are on.
Mostly all fire chiefs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually, they've
Yeah.
always been
Pretty
good.
good participation.
But it's not just Sanilac County. I know there's some from
St.
St. Clair County that are there, and like Birchfield Township and maybe Fort Gratiot
Goodalls.
Township. So, but still, it would be a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting if you guys start to have those conversations, to let us know, because if there's going to be, equipment requirements or things of that nature, it's something that I would like to be aware of. And I'm sure you would too, Nathan, that if there's any kind of budgetary need in the future for us to have something, we want to be starting to prepare for those things now. So.
Commissioner Black, I know in talking to Todd Hillman, our emergency management director last week, he said he was called up to, he was requested to be at Minden's meeting. And he was there to participate with them, he said, for a couple hours in regards to potential battery storage. But he said, as they got into that meeting, it was discovered that it doesn't sound like battery storage is maybe in the plans at this point.
Okay.
Or what they have going on up there.
Probably related to the solar field that they're intending to put up there. Okay.
I'd like to add one thing on parks I missed. We are working on a proposed project at Lexington Park, which would include, it'll be a grant project. It'll include a walking trail, converting tennis courts over to pickleball courts, dog park, a wooden pathway down to an observation deck on the day use side with a gazebo there. It'll be handicap accessible. Pretty much everything's handicap accessible. 2 cabins on the camping side. They'd be 12 by 32 feet. that'll kind of overlook the bluff onto the lake. And also replacement of the footbridge across the creek. I had a meeting yesterday with our grant writer and we called up the engineer and had a few questions, got them answered. And so we're trying to get our preliminary plan wrapped up and a cost projection. It'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of just shy of $1 million total project. The grant we apply for will be 300,000. So that'll be a 2025, 26 project, maybe into 27, the way things go.
Yeah,
So it's quite a project.
that'd be interesting. So those cabins would be on the day use side on the north.
They'll be on the south
They
side.
would be on the south side,
Yep,
but the gazebo would be on the north side.
yes.
Okay.
And there's one on the south side currently, a deck, observation deck. This will be very similar to that.
Okay,
So, yeah.
very good.
Yep.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing more on that. Is there anything further anybody would like to add for committee reports? Seeing none, I appreciate everyone's committee reports. Good discussion today. There is no unfinished business, so we're gonna move directly into new business. And we're gonna start out today with FA 150-24, approval of 2024 current claims.
Stanley County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2024 identified on the accounts payable report dated October 8th, 2024 for the general bank account in the amount of $158,582.55.
Support. I have a motion from Finance Chairman Circella, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 151-24, budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
Stanley County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments and establishes the following accounts as listed.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Circella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 152-24, approval of additional general fund bank account checks charged to September 2024.
Stanley County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of additional general fund bank account checks charged in September 2024 as follows. $2,502,879.82 in ACH payments, $311,488.30 in checks for a grand total of $2,814,368.12.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Circella, support from Vice Chairman Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 153-24, authorization to post and fill Deputy Register of Deeds position.
Stanley County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the posting and filling of the Deputy Register of Deeds position at a pay grade 3, step 1.
Support. I have a motion from Finance Chairman Circella, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Before we dive directly into FA 154-24 or FA 155-24, I have an update for the board. These are both related to the Safe Partnership millage. As you guys were aware, there was a recommendation made, then there was some new information brought to light. And so we were asked to hold on to that, which basically what we did is moved it on to the BOC agenda today. From 2 weeks ago, there was a regularly scheduled Safe Partnership millage meeting to come up with some kind of conclusion to this issue. We were unable to. So there was no decision made. So what I'm asking and what the Save Millage Board is asking the Board of Commissioners to do is to refer these agreements to the November 19th meeting. And the Save Partnership Millage Board is going to meet with a special meeting on the 13th to provide that recommendation. So if everybody's okay with that, I need a motion to refer both FA 154-24 and FA 155-24 to November 19th agenda.
Support.
Okay, so I think Roger, was that you, Roger?
Down here, yeah.
Yeah, motion by Commissioner Ballard, support by Commissioner Lee to refer these two items to November 19th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Now we're going to move on and continue as normal with FA 156-24, authorization to dispose of vehicles, motor pool.
Stanley County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the disposal of a 2006 Ford Ranger, VIN number ending in 54750, a 2013 Dodge Caravan, VIN number ending in 08944 and a 2009 Ford pickup VIN number ending in 71292 at outright auction of Vassar, Michigan, with all proceeds of the sales to be deposited into the motor pool fund.
Support.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarcella, support from Commissioner Lee. For any discussion? You're looking for some Class C vehicles, keep an eye on Albright Auction Service.
I'd be on top of that.
Any further discussion related to FA 156-24? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 157-24, approval of contractual law enforcement services agreement, Sheriff's Office.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves a non-expiring agreement for contractual law enforcement services between the Village of Forestville and Sand Lake County Sheriff's Office, and further authorizes the board chairman to sign the necessary agreement.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Moody. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 158-24, approval of Delaware Park Guardrail Agreement, Parks Commission.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves an agreement between Sand Lake County Road Commission and the Sand Lake County Parks for the purpose of installing galvanized guardrails, flared end shoes, and posted at a cost not to exceed $8,869.36 for immediate approval with funding from the Parks Millage.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 159-24, approval of land bank grant economic development.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the proposal from Bull Contracting of Clare, Michigan for the purpose of removing two homes at 24 and 36 Moore Street in the city of Sandusky to create additional parking space at a cost not to exceed $78,100 for immediate approval with funding to be reimbursed by the State Land Bank, and to further authorize Samantha Schnuttler, Sand Lake County Economic Development Director, sign the agreement.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlein. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 160-24, authorization to remove and install water heater for the Health Department.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes payment to Lakeshore Improvements in an amount not to exceed $13,026.50 for the purpose of removal and installation of a water heater at the Sand Lake County Health Department.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there any discussion?
Nate, is there a different price for that? I had heard from Mark from Lakeshore that said that something about he got charged too much and that we were gonna get some money back for that.
You talked to Mark directly about that?
I read at the fire chief's, or
Oh.
the emergency management. It was like,
And that was not conveyed to me, either through him or through Nick, so I don't know if he just hasn't gotten that information to us, if we'll get a refund on that of some sort.
Okay,
well, we can approve it at this and then.
yeah, and then if there is a rebate of some kind.
Right, it'll just. Okay.
Good discussion, John. Thank you. Is there any further discussion related to FA 160-24? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to NFA 021-24, acceptance of the Veterans Affairs 2023 Annual Report.
Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby accepts the Veterans Affairs 2023 Annual Report as presented.
Support.
I got a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlein. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. That is going to conclude new business today, so I'm going to call for general public comments. Are there any general public comments? Seeing none, there's no need for closed session or approval of closed session minutes. Before we adjourn, I do have a quick question for the board. Christine had asked me earlier before the meeting. Last year, we did do Christmas sweaters at the last meeting of the year, which this year will be December 17th. So I just wanted to put that out there and see, do you guys want to do Christmas sweaters the last meeting of the year again this year like we did last year?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And we will
Somebody's
all,
probably already got a new suit to wear, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell it.
I'm gonna have to buy more lighted ornaments. Have gained it.
is it going to get to the point that we can run without the lights on because we'll just glow so much?
Well, we glow anyways. But that's-
I gotta say, some really good discussion today. I've been enjoying this. So I will, we'll all plan for that. And if there's nothing further to come before the Board of Commissioners, I will entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting at 1:44.
I'll make that motion.
Or
I have a motion from Commissioner Lee, support from Commissioner Ballard to adjourn at 1:44. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.